over here for Prime, 11-8, and 1-3 versus Zerk. Not too much PvZ for him, actually.
Yeah, and not the best PvZ. He has played more than anybody else on Prime, and he's up in that winner's ranking as one of our top Protosses in SPL. The choice to put him out here on Outboxer, I think, is a smart one because his PvT is pretty stellar, and you end up seeing a lot of Protosses and Terrans on this map. So I think that the choice to put ByuL out is a bit of a strange one, and maybe it's because ByuL is pretty good at ZVPs, 4-3 so far. And his style is pretty defensive, so maybe they were expecting to play a Protoss here, and that's why they chose him. I'm a little bit surprised by it, though, to be honest. And going into the rest of our rosters, we have Marine King being picked, as well as Salvation as our two Terran players for Prime, and then we've got Lenok. So Lenok, of course, being the mercenary. So they are really bringing their air game, and after we saw Salvation perform so well in his previous match, I feel like Prime is definitely bringing a solid lineup to the table today. But can they get that first win with their very best player, Creator, on Outboxer? It's a really, really important win for them momentum-wise. And they're up against ByuL, one of our best ZVPers in Pro League. Let's jump into the game.
LTA는 SK텔레콤.
Down here in the bottom right, in the purple for Prime, it is, of course, Creator, Protoss player. And up here in the top left in the blue for Incredible Miracle, it's going to be ByuL, PvZ. We're going to start things off here. Wolf's actually just going over something on the Observer PC. We weren't able to log into this game, so we're just trying to get that account signed in and stuff.
Yeah, it's all good now.
Next match.
We won't be in this game, but we'll be in the next one. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Like I said last time, it's actually quite a challenge using Observing PC with hand mics, so I'm doing my best. But we have that now to use, which is really, really important because I can give you guys all sorts of extra information and insight that I could not before. And in Korea now, this is the only studio in which the Observing PC is granted to any caster, as far as I know, for any game. So we have that extra privilege here to be able to look at anything at any time.
Yeah.
And not rely just on one observer purely. So
yeah, it's pretty cool. There are times that we had during the first two rounds where there was some very important piece of information that we just couldn't look at because of that PC that we didn't have, but now we have it. So that's going to be good for the future in those circumstances. Creator's going to drop down a Forge here. Looks like he might want to go for a cannon. Knows ByuL likes to go hatch first. Definitely a good idea here.
Yeah, and it is going to be a hatch first, in fact, for ByuL. And so far, without a drone scout, this could actually do a lot for him. He does send that drone down here, though. And
I like this a lot. He's being more careful. He doesn't send it out. Unfortunately for him, it's not going to see it just yet because he did go behind those minerals, but actually he's just going to put it behind there so he can't put the pylons. So Creator's still going to put one down, but seeing how many drones that were pulled, I don't think he's going to commit to this. Probably just going to cancel that once it gets near to completion.
Only Huck could make this work. I mean, at this point, with 3 probes, or rather 3 drones down there, 3 drones will kill a cannon that's building, faster than the cannon itself can actually finish. So if he tries to put 2 cannons down, then he just brings 2 or 3 more drones, and then it starts not being worth it. But as it is, he did pull some drones off, lost some mining time, and things kind of even up here a little bit as he goes back at home, starts his gateway, and knowing that it's a pool first, he can actually go ahead and skip the cannon for now at home because he doesn't need it right away. And he's even going to come over here and deny this third base. Might even pylon block it. I think he probably will.
Yeah, I think at this point it would be a good idea, especially because he put a little bit of fear into ByuL earlier on. Doesn't decide to go for it. Is just going to keep that probe alive, go into the main base, or rather over here to the natural, see what's going on. I like about these players so far being very meticulous with their scouts. ByuL early on knew the Forge was a possibility, sent out the drone, not to scout, but just to block, just in case a probe came over, and did just that. And then Creator, after the cannon didn't go down at the base of ByuL, he just went over to the third because the probe was already over there, and that's something he could use it for. So both these players, from the start, being pretty good, pretty meticulous.
Yeah, just really on top of things. So he decides not to pylon block the third, and I guess the reason why is because he knew those were so close to popping out that he wouldn't be able to really keep that pylon up for very long. And was going to be canceling it anyways. So just keep the probe there as long as you can. Keep those extra minerals at home. And now the Zealot is coming out. The Cybernetic core is on its way over. And, you know, you just continue to probe up. Now, when that core finishes, we're going to see what sort of tech Creator wants to put out. Most likely will be, because this is Creator after all, a Stargate, not a Twilight Council. Because Creator doesn't really like to do those Blink Stalker timings or try to hide DTs or anything like that. He hasn't started +1 yet either, which would be pretty key if he were going for one of those Blink Stalker follow-ups with a few gates first. So,
yeah. Stargate follow-up here is very standard. It's just very, very good, very safe to do in this PvZ matchup. Very good for getting a bunch of Phoenixes out, you know, killing a bunch of Overlords, you know, possibly picking off some drones here. And now ByuL, he sent to the Overlord at a good time, and he did spot that Stargate that was coming up, but maybe he didn't click it, so he's going to turn around here, maybe get a better idea of what exactly that building is.
Yep, he does verify 100%, and he wants to get a good idea of what's coming out of it, because if it's an Oracle, then he knows exactly what to expect. He can get ready for that back at home, and then also be prepared for the Void Ray follow-up into the third base. But if it's a Phoenix, then you know, he knows how to handle this. Now this could be a fake. He starts a Void Ray first. He's actually going to keep it. Chrono Boosts it, so what we're going to see here is him use that Void Ray to secure a third base, and he's going to go into a Void Ray Colossus composition most likely. Something we haven't seen too much from creators since really the beginning of Heart of the Swarm. The first GSL season that we had, that was WCS Korea. Creator was only doing Void Ray Colossus, as were many Protosses, but he seemed to be a kind of a one-trick pony. I remember his games in his very first Code S group, he just kept doing the style over and over and over again, and people had already figured it out by the time Code S had come around, so he really had some trouble with that. He did the same style where he goes into the +1 Plasma Shields, gets that out because it's going to be very useful not only for his Void Rays, but it also applies to Protoss buildings. Even the Nexus gets that shield upgrade, so it helps you hold that third base a lot better.
Yeah, I actually like this. Just him, you know, returning to his roots, just returning to a strategy he used to love to do here. And, you know, ByuL definitely likes to go late game, but this composition is always very, very hard to stop. But if there's a Zerg that could stop it, it would probably be ByuL. I think he would be, you know, once he identifies what's coming out here, he's going to respond accordingly. I think he should be okay.
Yeah, let's see how he does, in fact, respond. Because this is not the type of style that ByuL is normally used to playing against, because this is an older build, and it's also not the build that we see in Pro League very often. So ByuL is more used to holding timing attacks, especially that +2 Blink Stalker timing attack that we've seen so much on King Sejong Station, which is the map that ByuL normally comes out on. So it's even a bit surprising that he wasn't chosen for that map. So all of this for ByuL is a little bit off from normal. Now he goes into a Hydralisk Den here, is getting the +1 for range, and the Void Rays are actually going to harass here a little bit. Looks like he could just try to pick off an Overlord and then leave, but just going to get out of here instead. Does not want to linger too much, especially knowing the Hydralisks are going to be on the way soon. But let's see how much he commits to those Hydras. Is he going to go into a massive count of Hydras, or is he just going to poke a little bit with those and then try to out-expand his opponent? He is taking a 4th here, but this may be forced to cancel. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, if he brings all of his Voiders over here, he may force a cancel, but I'm not sure. Looks like he's not going to commit to it just yet. But we do see Creator dropping down 2 extra Stargates here. So he's going to be going very, very heavily on the Stargate play. And ByuL is going to be very happy that he committed a bunch to these Hydras already from the start, because he's going to need them against this many Void Rays.
Yeah, and this is really important, this Overseer, because without this, he wouldn't be able to identify exactly how the commitment is, because what he's expecting to see right now in the main base is a robotic support bay and some Colossi coming out. And he's like, all right, how many Colossi do you have out? How many do you have coming? And he's like, oh, you really don't have any just yet. And he even just used the overcharge on those Void Rays. It's not going to be too important against Hydralisks and Lings, but he's got a lot of Void Rays here, Brendan. There's so many Hydras, but his force fields here have to be better than perfect, I would say. And, well, there's no force fields at all. Time Warp goes down. He's got 2 cannons only to support this. Void Rays do a lot of damage, but the Lings on the ground are the real problem here, not the Hydralisks, as you might think.
Yeah. I mean, right now, you know, they did take out the ground army, but so far, besides that, all they were able to do to take out 2 cannons. So I'm not sure if that attack was really worth it. I think he took out 1 Void Ray there, but it's not really going to matter when you have 3 coming at a time here. The attack was a good idea. I think it was pretty nice against 1 Stargate, but when you got 3 Stargates here pumping out 3 Void Rays at a time, it didn't really do too much damage for ByuL.
Yeah, you know, I think he was looking at this like, no, wait a minute, you don't have that many Void Rays yet, and you do have the triple Stargate. You don't have any Colossi yet, and even I, looking at this, thought maybe with that many Hydras, you might have a chance against these Voids. But as those 3 popped out, you could see with the Time Warp there, Void Rays crush almost every unit in the game, and I talked about this recently in Code A. They stack, and they can fire, you know, it's not a problem, for example, like how Roach's fire is, they'll have to try to get into range, and if there's some at the back, they can't shoot because they're so low range, and they kind of bump into each other, and they kind of get all bunched up, but the Void Ray is a flying unit that can just stack, so they're all going to do their maximum damage once you fight, and if that's happening while the Hydras are kind of bumping into each other and not able to all fire, then you know, you fight Hydras in small numbers one at a time, and this problem gets even exacerbated by things like force fields and time warps. This scout is going to be denied easily here. And ByuL is in a bit of trouble because the Void Ray count is starting to get insane, and now he's going to those Colossi. He has 1-1 for his Void Rays, almost complete. Starting to add a few gateways here, and Creator looks poised to take a 4th Nexus at this location.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be totally safe in doing this. Look at how many Void Rays he has just there. You're definitely going to have to respect that many.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And we see this kind of small force over here for ByuL in mostly Hydras. He is getting the Infestors out with the fungals that could do a lot of damage if he lands all of them. But he's going to need a lot more damage in his army, I think. I mean, it's going to be good for keeping it at bay at least. But especially once the Colossi come out and he starts getting this big, massive ball, he's going to need some other tech in there, maybe some Vipers. He may have to go up to Hive here, I think.
Yeah,
Especially since Creator's just sitting back for a while here. He's giving ByuL a lot of time.
All right, this is scary. He does not want to engage with this, I'd say, ByuL. Even though he's got those Infestors there, he needs to try to engage on his terms, not trying to engage into a defensive location. These Lings are just going to be traded for free here because he wants to free up some supply to probably maybe make some more Infestors because he doesn't have Hive Tech yet. He also doesn't quite have the +2 for his Hydras just yet. That's, I think, getting pretty close to being done. Yeah, there it is, about to finish right now. Roach Speed is also finishing up. He's going to have possibly a Roach follow-up to try to end the game if this works. There are a lot of Queens here, too. This could work, but I'm a bit scared about it. There's no High Templar here. There's no answer whatsoever for the Infestors other than the Void Rays. So he needs to split those, and split he does. There's the Nexus Cannon. He does not want to get stuck on that ramp. This is just such a tough way for ByuL to engage, I would say, without any Vipers. He's really, really banking a lot on this attack, and here we go. First fungal goes down, hitting a ton of those Void Rays. Looks like about 7 or 8 of them getting hit, but there's the overcharge, and those Infestors are having a tough time. One Colossus here as well, and this is what I'm talking about. Respect the Void Rays. So much damage output here, and they stack, they can all fire at the same time, unlike the Hydralisk, which will have to kind of stutter step their way closer to get the maximum damage output.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the creep not fully spread to where they were fighting, as well as the time warp, you saw the fungals go down, but there was no follow-up damage. I think one Void Ray went down, whereas ByuL dropped from 198 to about 130 supply, and that's his fight right there. ByuL's going to need a different answer for this, and he's going to need it fast. Here's the Hive finally getting near to completion. And we're going to see what he goes with that. For now, he's getting the Locust as well as Swarm Hosts coming out as well behind this.
Yeah, and I think he will add some Vipers in. They're pretty essential. If you can pick off the Void Rays one by one that way, one Void Ray is not going to be able to defeat the Hydras on its own. And you just start picking them off one by one, grabbing them, making sure you keep your Vipers alive. We still don't have any High Templar for Creator, which is a bit disappointing, to be honest, considering there's so many energy units that he's going to want to just blow out of the sky. With those Vipers, the Infestors, he's going to deal with the Queens. That's something you don't really think about, I feel, as a spectator a lot of times. Actually, yeah, Queens can be feedbacked, and that's pretty hurtful because, there are a lot of your anti-air, and also there's some transfuse energy. One thing I'm really, really happy about in ByuL's play is just his attention to detail when it comes to static defense and also these defense of the Zelt Rumbas, even having the creep spread in both locations so that you can see them coming. He has the Hydralisk ready. So there's no way for Creator to do a ton of damage to him by harassment. Finally, that Templar Archive is finishing up. He's getting the Fleet Beacon as well, so he can continue to get 2-2 upgrades. And ByuL is not stopping with the attack right now. He's just continuing to send those waves over, and he's got the Hydras set up in such a way that he can't snipe those the Swarm Hosts.
Yeah. The other thing I want to mention about ByuL's play is that he's been really on top of upgrades as well. Whereas we see, Creator, he's really only going for those air upgrades, but you see the +1 to ground only just finishing up now. I mean, when you're doing a bunch of different upgrades, it's understandable, but ByuL overall is getting, I think, the better upgrades here. And look at this. This Void Ray pack over here isn't going to do much damage over here unless a really nice time warp comes down. That's the most important thing here. We're going to see what happens. Is he going to throw it down?
Well, I think actually the thing is that with how the Void Rays stack, You know, he could have fought like pretty well on the edge there. He's going to take some pretty heavy losses. He will kill the Hydras, but so what? This is actually just, to put it in the most simple terms, a bad decision. This is a decision that Creator made. Like, I think I can beat these Hydras with the Void Rays. No, you can't actually. No, you can't. And even if you did beat them, you know, say he had a little bit more attack upgrades, then he would have lost Void Rays, which are way more expensive, and he doesn't have the bank to replace them. And you can't make 8 Void Rays at a time if you have the bank. You're limited by your Stargate. So this was just, in the most simplest ways, a bad decision. This was a bad strategic decision.
Yeah, he wasn't even paying attention to the attack either. He put down no time warp. The Mothership Core was just there with a bunch of energy for, you know, whatever it wanted to do there, even a recall if he wasn't sure.
I think he was looking, but he was like not sure if he wanted to recall or not, and the Mothership Core just died, and then he was like, well, I think I can win this fight. The way he moved the Void Rays, I think he was looking. Oh my god, Brendan, do you see that on the production tab? That's the Graviton Catapult upgrade for carriers. Are we going to see some carriers?
Oh my god.
Looks like he's considering it.
Yeah. I mean, against a bunch of Hydras with the range that it does have, it could be good. But in general, I feel like Tempests are a bit more strong, so we're going to see if he actually goes for it here. I mean, going for an upgrade like that would kind of tell you that he is, but we'll see if he actually starts to begin to build those from here on out. Here's a nice little counterattack. He sent some Zerglings over to the 4th base over there in the south, but now he's going to come over here with a bunch of Hydras, Infestors, and Zerglings here to pick off some of these Zealots.
I really want to see the production tab. I'm so sorry, I'm not in the game this time, guys. I want to know what he's making. Is he making more Void Rays? Is he heavily focusing on the Colossi? This burrow is so nice. That cannon is unpowered, not going to be able to help out. Only the Mothership Core here working on it. You know, he's not really targeting very well with his Zerglings, but still getting some damage done.
Yeah, a couple of Zerglings attacking the Assimilator. Not the best target there. But he does have this, you know, constant stream of Locusts coming in over here from the Swarm Host. Maybe move those up a little bit here. Well, actually, he's going to have to bring them back here for this attack. A very nice Fungal first to stop a bunch of those Void Rays in those tracks.
Yeah, locking them into the Spore Crawler range as well. Good Fungal here on a few of those High Templar. Storm goes down. Really would like to see some feedback, because that's, you know, it's going to accomplish exactly what you want no matter what on those Infestors. So all of those Templar going down, a very expensive loss here. And he is making, oh, where's the overcharge? Oh my god.
No overcharge, and all those probes are going to have to go to another base because they're not going to be mining from there anymore.
Yoinked. That Void Ray goes down. This Tempest is all alone over here. He did start making Tempests, not carriers. Not sure if you misclicked on that upgrade earlier. Probably something like that. But Creator is not looking his best right now. He looks very confused, and also he's slipping on his multitasking so significantly. He doesn't have a massive bank to work on, so that's something that base that he lost to the bottom left is just really inexcusable, especially the Mothership Core there, which he also then lost. It's really just really disappointing. And the Spore Crawler will come over here and help defend these, but these DTs are getting a little bit of damage done.
Yeah. These, you mentioned before about the static defense, definitely very good in ByuL's favor, but kind of unlucky there with the timing. Here's going to be another yank on this one Tempest here. Going to pick that off for free, actually. Doesn't lose anything over there for ByuL. Very nice again. Another Spire is going to go down for ByuL here. He's going to be able to get those double upgrades here. It's going to be very good, you know, seeing how many area units he is building now. So many Corruptors in the sky right now.
Just so disappointing to see some of these rally mistakes by Creator, because he's not normally a person who gets nervous or stressed out in these matches anymore, but today he's clearly showing some nerve issues. You know, I would say it's just a lack of multitasking skill for somebody else, but I look at Creator and I'm like, no, he's actually one of the best. This is not characteristic of his play to lose a Nexus like that, to make a decision to attack his Void Rays at the top, not try to snipe a hatchery or anything, or be a little bit more patient with those. I think his idea was like, maybe I could beat these Hydras and then kill that base, but instead he like killed the Hydras, which were much less expensive than his expensive Void Ray army, and then lost his Void Ray army, depleting his bank again. Now he's adding in a few Tempests to his army, but they're not useful yet, and he's not babysitting them as well as he could be. He only has one on the map right now, in fact. A few Infestors over here fighting Zealots, and nice split here by Creator. This is the kind of multitasking that I like to see.
Yeah, ByuL is still dealing with this for about a minute now. These Zealots, you know, a couple of Warpins over here are taking so long to be dealt with, and now the hatchery actually gets really, really low. It's not going to go down, but all those drones had to evacuate as well. Kind of a nice counter harass over there. Creator getting some revenge for the loss of his south base.
Yeah, as far as I know, the Zealots don't really have any attack upgrades, so that's part of the reason why the hatchery lived. With +3, I think that would have been a very different story. We have +3 armor on the way as well as +3 shields now for these Protoss units. Archons are something I'd really like to see quite a bit more of in this army composition against these stacked up Corruptors. Good fungal on these Void Rays, but they need follow-ups. And there's one hitting a Templar. No, actually looks like 3 Templar on the ground there. And a Void Ray. Right underneath that Spine Crawler, really painful. And oh god, this could be a deciding fungal here. Can he follow it up? Decent follow-up here. Here come the Corruptors from the right side. Viper for a yank. Hits that Tempest. Goodbye, Tempest.
Yeah, ByuL's doing a really nice job just being on the outskirts here, trying to pull one at a time. Creator's trying his hardest here. He does have the overcharge on, but he's not able to do enough damage because the Corruptors are just running away. And now with the Swarm Host in a really good position to start harassing that base over there. But look at this Creator. So many cannons and even High Templar over here to defend.
He's going to start losing those cannons. Okay, he's going to try to take this engagement. The prismatic alignment is off and down. It's on cooldown right now. But even still, Void Rays do so much damage to Corruptors. These Infestors are not being taken care of. One Archon doing so much damage. Luckily does save those 4. But on the right side here, looks like the Void Rays still not having that prismatic alignment active yet. Will kill the Viper, but he needs just a little bit more damage output here. It's really the upgrades that actually allows him to fight these Corruptors so well. But without that alignment, it looks like eventually ByuL's going to clean this up. He has the better bank, and he's making a Mutalisk switch right now into 30 Mutalisk. A few more roaches being made as well. Those Mutalisks about to have the +1 carapace. And I don't see Creator coming back from this one. He's lost everything. And with this type of composition, he needs a lot more than 3 Stargates to remax.
Yeah, it's not going to be enough. He's trying to make 3 Void Rays and 1 Colossus right now. He's trying to counter harass here, but once the Mutas come out in this amount, this 30 Mutalisks here, it's just going to end the game. I don't know if Creator can hold it off. He's trying to do some more harass over here with Blink Stalkers. They do have decent upgrades, but I just don't think it's going to be enough.
No, these Stalkers are getting crushed. He's totally surprised by this. He might even have to type out. I mean, there's no way to respond now. You have 3 Phoenixes at a time. Good luck. The Swarm Host control here, this base is toast. There's no answer for that. The Void Rays are going to be useless, and he needs a lot more time out of 3 Stargates to produce the Phoenixes that he needs for this many Mutalisks. It's not happening. Archon's being morphed here, 3 of them, and one does pop and get some decent shot off, but he needs more time to actually get the rest of the shots. And the chances of Creator taking this game are diminishing rapidly by the second. Looks like he's going to be able to save this base for now, as ByuL is not confident enough to fight those Archons. With a few extra Vipers coming out, and even these Locusts coming to fight here, how can he hold on?
Yeah, you got to always remember that he does have a squad of about 12 Swarm Hosts, still doing damage, still harassing at that 5th base towards the east over there on the map. ByuL doing a bunch of damage to some probes over there, but still not so confident to fight head-on just yet, and he doesn't really have to. He just needs to keep the army of Creator down, and he has to make sure that it doesn't build up into that big ball again, and I think he should be okay. I mean, we're getting a good look over here. Before there were some storms to clear up some of the Locusts, but now there's nothing, and this Nexus is going to go down.
Yep, and every single probe, it looks like that Trice long-distance mine out of here will also be killed. I saw the silhouette of a Nexus started to the left side of the map for Creator, but it almost feels like a practical joke at this point for him to try to take that base on ByuL. Like, it's just not going to work. +3 is nearly done for these Mutalisks. The Phoenixes are starting to get higher and higher in number, but this is a Band-Aid problem to like his arm being cut off. Or actually, he's like got both his arms cut off right now. He's trying to fix it with a Band-Aid.
He's like trying to apply a Band-Aid to his one cut off arm with his other cut off arm right now.
Yeah,
it's just
like,
not working.
This base he's trying to take, he's like trying to put cannons down. There's like a burrowed Zergling there. He finally finds some of these Swarm Hosts. And we'll pick those off, but he doesn't want to get too far out on creep against this many Mutalisks and Vipers and Corruptors. Time to turn around, Creator. There's no Mothership Core to recall this. I don't know why you're bunching up your army in one hole. One Archon is grabbed here, taken out immediately. See if he does it again. He's just being very meticulous with his Mutalisk control here with the Corruptor support. He's able to fight this quite a bit. Compositionally, Creator's army is much better with those Archons, the Stalkers on the ground, and the Phoenixes. It's just too small. And so eventually he's going to get whittled down here because he doesn't have the economy in gas to continue to produce these expensive units, whereas ByuL does.
Yeah, this is what StarCraft is about once you go into the late game. It's about the macro. We see even at that base over there, ByuL isn't even mineral mining. He has the gas mining because that's what he needs in these big units over here that he does have, these very gas-heavy units, and he's just so far ahead in Creator and gas. I mean, Creator's right now at about 100 supply and ByuL is at 200 with a gas bank of about 1,400. So, you know, ByuL in a very good spot right now.
Zealots are fighting against Locust. You know, he does have enough Zealots to actually push through that, but it's never really a good trade. The Corruptors are now fighting against the rest of these Phoenixes. Once the Phoenixes and the Archons are gone, the Mutalisks can do the rest, and this is going to be the point of no return for Creator. He's dancing his Mutalisks at this point. Now we'll kill the very last Phoenix. The Stalker's here, trapped between Swarm Hosts and a hard place, and game over. GG. ByuL takes the first win.
Very, very ByuL-esque game. Not, you know, he tried to punish Creator for going very heavy air very early on. But once that attack didn't really go well, he was just like, oh, I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to max up. I know exactly what I need to beat this army. And he did just that. He got a bunch of Infestors out. He got the Swarm Host as well on the ground because he knew there wasn't going to be too much ground army all over the map that he could just, you know, harass at both sides of the map with those Swarm Hosts. And, you know, a bunch of good fungals on a bunch of Void Rays and stuff and getting a bunch of Corruptors as well. He just did very well in fighting the army of Creator. Got the gas bank up much, much higher and took one big engagement that kind of led to his victory there.
Well, I think that style that Creator was using has been figured out. It's been defeated countless times in the past. It took ByuL some time to get ready for it, but he did build that, you know, Corruptor Viper army that had Mutalisk switches available. Losing all of those Void Rays to the north was the key mistake where Creator lost his way. And I feel like with this comp, a lot of the time you see players come up with 6 Void Rays and try to snipe a hatch, fly away. It's risky when they're Infestors. It's risky when they're Hydras. But that's kind of what you have to do. You have to harass with Void Rays. And this is actually one of the reasons why I was so disappointed that the Flux Veins upgrade was removed from the game, because I feel like if that upgrade were just toned down a little bit, it could have provided a lot more exciting